Hey, what's up, everybody? It's episode 169 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted right here in Iowa. It's my favorite coffee. I drink it every morning. You can check it out at couchtowncoffee.com. Find a coffee you like and let them know how you want it roasted, and they'll ship it directly to your house, and all you have to do is grind it up and enjoy. Find a coffee you like there, and when you make an order, let them know Audible Farm sent you, and you can get 20% off. That's right, 20% off just for us referring you over to Couchtown Coffee. Why? Because Couchtown Coffee is that awesome. Thanks, Couchtown. This episode is a day late. I know there's a lot of people thinking, what's going on? Well, I was sick last week, if anybody listened to the last episode, so I was kind of taking most of my time to myself and not really going out anywhere too much, so I didn't really want to go out and infect anyone, and I didn't have anyone remote set up to do a podcast, so this one came out. Actually, I just recorded it, and I'm editing it like right afterwards and releasing it, so as of this getting released, I'm going to try my best to have it out before midnight, but we'll see. So I recorded this on Thursday, actually, so that's why it's late. I apologize. But this episode features the one, the only, Jesse Wilson. I wanted to get him in here close to the end of the year to talk about what kind of a crazy year we've had together. And he's been, as crazy as it's been with the two of us playing all these shows, he's played even more shows, including solo shows, going to Nashville, playing a couple different times. We talk about that in this episode. We talk about all the things he's accomplished this year, releasing music videos, getting promotional work done, all this other stuff, how crazy it was to go out to Nashville recently compared to the time before. So we talk about all sorts of stuff like that in this episode, and it's a fun one. I like sitting down talking with Jesse. So thank you guys for waiting one extra day to listen to this episode, and this is episode 169 with Jesse Wilson.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Sitting down today with Jesse Wilson, good old Jesse Wilson. I was talking to you a little bit at a recent jam night about how many shows we had played together this year, and it was like I think I'm going to be really close to playing 80 shows this year between you and Three Finger Betty and the few I've played with Clint, and it just like makes me think like because you've played a lot of solo shows and some duo shows and some full band shows that I couldn't make it to, so you have at least 80 shows just by yourself, you know, so that's a lot of shows this year.
Getting some work in.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, if you think about it, that's almost 2 a weekend every weekend, almost.
It's good to be busy.
Yeah,
good.
It is
really good.
Yeah, it is good to be busy. It's crazy. I mean, like, you were playing guitar like a year before I started playing with you, and so that also makes me think, like, go back in time to when you first started playing. Did you ever think you'd be like, oh, in a year's time I'll have played like 80 shows that year?
Not really. It's kind of, thinking back, that has been a long time, hasn't it?
I mean, it seems like a little bit like it has been a long time, but at the same time it doesn't seem like it has been.
It kind of flew by, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it seems like just yesterday we played our first show together as a duo, and I mean, it's been a year, like almost exactly a year, so.
It's been a fun ride.
It's been really, really fun,
Can't wait to see what happens this year.
Yeah, I mean, you've done a lot in just this last year alone since, like, I've been playing with you, as far as, like, putting out 1 or 2 music videos, maybe 2?
Yeah, 2 this year.
2 this
Stiff
year.
Drink and River Road.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yep.
And, I mean, you went to Nashville. Did you go to Nashville twice this year, too?
Just once this year.
Just once this year?
No, wait, we did go twice, yeah. We went in June, and then we went this last month, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you went earlier this year, then that's what I thought you did, and then then you had such a good time, you decided, like, I'm going to come back again.
Amazing city, yes.
So, comparing the first and second time, what was different between the first and second time when you went to Nashville?
The first time, it was just, everything was brand new, taking in the city, just seeing some awesome talent all up and down the strip, even off the strip. We were just taking most of it in the first time, trying to get as much, and then we kind of learned the ropes, like where to go for some cool spots, some side alley writers' rounds and stuff like that. So
cool.
Met some cool people. Got on stage the first time in Broadway. That was very cool.
Was that just this last time?
We got up there this time too, but the first time my buddy Donnie Van Slee I met at a writers round. He got me up there.
That's cool.
It was awesome.
That's really awesome.
Awesome.
So that's kind of neat, like the first time you don't really know where to go, who to talk to, what to do, and you end up meeting a couple people that kind of help you out. And then the next time down, you're like, well, at least I've got like a little bit of a foot in the door this time,
Kind of know a little bit of the ropes.
Yep. And you ended up bringing a couple of your buddies down this last time too.
Heck yeah, we had a blast. Brought down Mr. Jeremy Ober and Mr. Clint Riedel.
Yeah.
Did a writers round at the Commodore Grill. It was amazing writers round. So much talent. Legends in the crowd and on stage sometimes. It's just you never know who's going to be there and hear your music and hear them play. It was a great time.
Oh, that's crazy
Especially
cool.
to have my buddies up there on stage with me. Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, right back over there's a picture of it. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, there it is. Screensaver.
It's pretty awesome to see that picture of you guys up there. Leave it, of course. I'm assuming that was Bree that took that picture.
Yep.
Yeah, she
Photo
takes
cred. A lot of photo creds for Bree.
Yep, yeah, definitely. I mean, she's at a lot of shows supporting you too. So that's also important, having somebody there that's willing to support you.
Absolutely.
And having those guys there is like your buddies, because it's like those are the guys that I'm assuming, looked up to when you first started out on your journey around this area. So it's like, hey, why don't you guys just come with me?
Absolutely. The first go around, I was down there in, I say June. I was pretty nervous. First time in Nashville, playing in front of who knows who's in the crowd, and a lot of nerves. And this time I had my boys with me and just been there, had a great time, comfortable, and it was just an awesome show.
That is pretty wild, to think about like the difference in how comfortable you are, the first time compared to the second time when you come back,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think about that with like certain shows, that we've played where you like go somewhere, you're like, I've never played here. This might, now my nerves are kind of up or whatever. Like
Okoboji.
Yep, that was one for me too. Or like the first time we played at Copperhead.
Yep.
And we didn't know that it was like steak night that night, and we couldn't even get our gear in the door. Like it was so many people there.
Still one of the funnest shows we did this
It was
year.
insane. I was so nervous. And that show was crazy too, because I mean, we ended up playing like 5+ hours almost. I mean,
we got paid to stay a little longer. They had a good time.
That was really, really fun.
Heck yeah, shout out Copperhead.
Yeah, speaking of that,
soon.
that's where we're going to end up being New Year's Eve.
In the New Year with us.
So this one will come out before New Year's. So yeah, check us out New Year's down at Copperhead in Stratford. It's a fun place, But so what do the other guys think about going down to Nashville? Like, I think you guys said you all stayed at like an Airbnb down there and kind of clowned around. How many days?
We were there. We drove there Sunday night into Monday morning. And then we were there till Friday. Me and Bree left on Friday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
Met some cool people. They have a Bootleggers Inn in Nashville, as well as like one here in Fort Dodge, which we call home.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I went down, I met Young Patches is his name on the internet. And then we went back this year and met him again. That was one of the people I wanted to see on stage, and he called me up and we did 3 of my originals, and one of them we posted Cheese Funky, and it was just a blast.
I saw that one. That was really, really cool to see that. Yeah, he looked like he really knew what he was doing.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
he's definitely a pro. He's good.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Shout out Young Patches.
That's cool. Did you end up getting like a bootlegger shirt from down there to bring it up here to give?
Nate requested one. Also,
I was gonna say. I was hoping so. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Nashville edition.
Yeah, that reminds me of like when I used to frequent bars more often. There was a place called the Sit and Bowl in Humboldt, and I remember when I was in like a tiny town in Colorado, they had like a Sit and Bowl saloon. So I picked up like one of their shirts and brought it to the owners there.
I thought that was cool.
They were ironically like not very impressed. They're like, what is this? Like, they like didn't get I don't think they understood what I was trying to go for,
They didn't appreciate it.
Yeah, it was whatever. I think it was just maybe a barrier of some sort of gift giving. But yeah, speaking of gift giving, it's near Christmas time, etc. This episode is going to come out a little late. It was supposed to come out the day we're recording it, actually, which is today. But
life happens.
Yeah, it happens, dude.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. There was a lot of people up in this area that were feeling under the weather. A handful of shows got postponed or canceled or worked around or got swapped out at things like that. So it was a rough week for a lot of people around the area, from what I can tell, or like within the state. Like a lot of my friends, seem to
get healthy and persevere on. So I can do.
Yep, just rest up and play the shows you're comfortable playing and stay out of the places you don't want to be. And I don't know. It makes me think like. It's weird that you don't ever notice when you're not sick, but when you're sick, you're just like, I feel like crap. But when you feel good, you don't feel good because feeling good is feeling like nothing.
Right. You puts it in perspective when you've been sick. Now I know what feeling good is like.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, man. But it's cool to see you guys going down to Nashville, having a good time down there, clowning around. And I saw from the picture earlier that Jeremy and Clint both got up on stage. Did they end up like going anywhere else with you and getting up on stage anywhere else, or was it just the one place?
I can't remember what happened to Clint that night. He disappeared for a little bit, but me and Carson and Jeremy and Bree, we all went to the Lucky Bastard Saloon, and this group was up there slaying. He, like, Ober gave us props, like, every time he saw somebody slaying these guys. This guy is a beast, and they came around with a tip jar, and they're like, hey, you guys having a good time? We're like, yeah, you guys are awesome. You guys want to hear a song? And I was like, actually, my buddy would probably play a song if you got him up there. And he's like, he plays? I'm like, yeah, and they called him up and had a blast. He slayed. Carson came up and did a song, too. First time in Nashville on Broadway, so I couldn't have been happier.
I saw a video of that one too. It was really cool to see all of the videos come back, and have you guys document it and things like that. It's really, really fun to have.
Good time. We'll definitely go back.
Yeah. Oh man.
Adam Whitehead, I like to give him a little credit. He's the one that turned me on to the Commodore Grill and Debbie Champion to get on the writers round. So I really appreciate him for that. That's how I got my foot down there. So huge shout out to Adam Whitehead for that.
Yeah, another one of those really hardworking guys around the area.
You bet.
Did he recently like get a new? The cat's gonna knock the camera out. This is so hilarious. Get out of there.
Yeah, Blaze.
Is he still out there playing shows, making music?
Oh yeah, he's really busy. As far as I seen on his Facebook and stuff, he's got shows booked.
Does he have like a new? The cat's all over the keyboard and everything. Has he got a new Facebook account? Did I see?
I'm not sure on that. I think it's Adam Whitehead Music or Adam Whitehead.
Yeah, I was just talking his personal page because he did add me again on a different page. I don't know. Maybe
might be a hacker. You never know.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, it happens
he
all
is
the time.
Starting to get a little bit more famous, so it could have been somebody posing as him. You never know.
Might have something in the works too, but it's top secret.
Ooh, maybe I wasn't supposed to divulge. I don't know. That was pretty wild though. Like the whole fact that this year I've like watched you go out and play solo shows. I've watched you play. Oh, go for it, you cat. The cat's hilarious. I've watched you play solo shows, duo shows, acoustic only shows, full band shows. I've seen you play with different people. Going to jam nights and things like that. So it's really fun to see that, or to see like your studio work come together with different musicians. Especially ones that are like possibly different than the ones you would play with live, etc. So it's kind of cool to see all of that come together as well.
And just to see, time, just plugging away, man.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to see somebody out there doing all that stuff, because I think it would be hard to balance it. As far as like if we just take like Clint and Jeremy being the two other examples, because they're like just in the picture right over there. Like Clint and Jeremy, like they play so many shows, they don't necessarily have the time to sit down and record as much stuff as I think they would like to.
Sometimes, yeah, it's a schedule stuff. It is. Everybody's busy.
Yeah.
Even like if you want to go catch a show, you have a random off day, you can probably go catch your buddies. But other than that, you jam nights like the only time you get to see their shows, and everybody's busy.
Yeah, I mean it really is. I wonder how many shows those guys have played this year, to sit down and think about that.
I'm sure there's a lot.
Yeah, that's probably they probably topped out more than we did, on the old scale of that whole thing. But it's wild. Like I still am just like in awe of the fact. I mean, like I think the first year I played with Three Finger Betty, we played like 40 shows in a year, which is like a lot for a band. And then you sit down and think like, I'm going to play almost 80 shows. Granted, it's with like 3 bands, the vast majority of it being with you, but it's still kind of like wild to sit and think that. And then to think like, if it was a year or two ago and somebody was like, are you going to play the acoustic guitar ever? And it's like, I don't really think so. And then here you and I are playing acoustic shows and things like that.
It makes sense. On them duo shows, it makes sense, man.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. It's a nice dynamic to have acoustic and electric, but it's also a nice dynamic to have 2 acoustics up there too. So. Time
and a place for everything, right?
Absolutely. So what do you think is like one of the best things about Nashville that makes you like always want to go back?
Just I don't know, just like I think I just want my music heard by like the right ears. I mean, there's kind of a little, not a buzz, but there's like, we got some good stuff going on, good music out, and people around here like it, my peers like it. So let's get it in front of some ears, more ears the better, and just being around talented people and meeting and maybe working with them, because I tried to network whenever I met somebody down there. We'd trade Instagrams or something where like could probably get a hold of them in the future if we wanted to collab or something, anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like that's been a big part of what you do as a musician, like for a recording artist, especially as of late. It seems like, almost the last 3 out of the last 4 songs you've released have had a featuring artist on them of some sort, you know. And I don't know. I feel like we've talked about this a little bit before, but I don't think that's a bad thing. You know,
it's one of my favorite things. Just I like surrounding myself with creative people that are doing it. You know, I mean, they're not talking about it. We're doing it. So I love being around creative people that are motivated and just like I am. And it just good things happen when you get people around you like that.
Yeah, especially you know, like it's kind of fun. Like when I've like sat down and done some studio work with you, but it's kind of fun when you have like 3 or 4 different people lay down 3 or 4 different leads, and then you get to pick the one that you think like
it's kind of fun.
this style fits what I'm going for better. You know,
sure. I kind of got a vision in my head, and it's never personal. You know what I mean? It's just you know what I mean. It's just I have a vision I'm going for in my head, and whatever works.
Yeah, and I mean, like I'd talked about it on previous episodes where like I've sat down in the studio here with you and laid down, I guess you call them like scratch tracks or whatever, you know, with you.
Yep, scratch.
Where it's just like, well, let's just lay down some bass stuff so you have something to work with, you know, for the time being. You can always replace it. And I'm never like, I got replaced by Brad Hovig. I'm so mad. Like never, you know, because Brad's awesome, you know, or whatever. You know, it's like, oh no, you chose Ron Lee's solo. Boo hoo. I bet that doesn't work out. You know, it's like, of course, yeah, it will. You know, and
I'd like to almost try and do a live album sometime. Like Brad came over to the junkyard and he recorded while we played. Everybody jammed. Mm-hmm. Like come to a show and we'll do a set and have a live album. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
That would be fun to hook them up with, you know, some money and just be like, hey, just run sound for us and record it and give us the recording and whatever, you know.
Maybe coming soon.
Maybe. You never know. I mean, Clint's got one coming out. Last time on the podcast we were talking about that. He and I just need to sit down and work out the logistics, you know, and sit down with Brad, and we're going to make physical copies and do the whole 9 yards there.
Is it already recorded or?
Yeah, like Brad recorded it. And he's had, like, Brad's had it for like maybe a year. He's just been sitting there tinkering with the mixing on it for a while, and
very exciting.
It's pretty wild. Yeah, it's been something that he's had, and Clint's wanted to do it for a while. We just need to get all the artwork and everything done for it, and
get on it.
Yeah, we might end up re-releasing the Scale House sessions too, like under a different like label to release it from, etc. So like we might do some things like that and work on that, but we'll have to see what goes on in the future with that. But you know, have you ever thought about releasing a full album, or are you content doing the single? Like releasing singles.
I mean, I was content at first at doing this single. I still am kind of a little bit, but yeah, I got a lot of songs, and I'd like to, you know, maybe not all of them are as, you know, popular or cool as the others, so won't put them out as singles. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in putting an album out.
So like, here's a thought process for you. What about this? Like, I've seen this done a few different times. So like back in the day, if they'd release a single, they'd have a B-side, which was usually like a demo version or a song that was never going to make it on the album.
That's kind of cool.
It was just another song that like they had recorded. Maybe it's a cover, who knows. So the thought process of that was like, you can buy the album and you get all the stuff we wanted you to hear, but if you buy the single, you also get like a bonus song.
That's cool.
So you could release like your single, and your single could have 2 songs on it. Like,
would it be like an LP or just a single?
I mean, you could call it a single, you know. It's just 2 songs, and then like the next song could be one that nobody knew you were working on.
Yeah.
And you just throw it out there too, and you just promote the single the whole time.
That's a great idea, actually.
You know, it's like, well, the other one doesn't have a music video with it, you know, or whatever.
Right.
Like, what's the one song you did release that doesn't have a music video?
She's funky.
She's funky. So like that could have been like, you know, a B-side or something to something.
Sure.
So I mean, there are different like concepts you can kind of like borrow from the past and be like, that's what I was going for with this as far as
absolutely
releasing it. So
I like it.
You know, all those other songs you're kind of like in the middle of working on, that could be something that you could think about, I guess. But
right on.
The worst part about like working on all these songs and things like that is losing some material that you've been working on. So that's been something you've experienced a couple times now.
One time is too many.
One time is devastating.
Got my brand new computer today. The studio is back open, thank the Lord.
Yes, oh my gosh.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it sucks, you know. So computer ends up going down, goes kaput, and there's insufficient backups or like inadequate ones. We have stuff backed up. We backed up a bunch of things, but we didn't back up every single thing from what I could see. And that's going to be
hopefully it works out.
Yeah, that's going to be the toughest thing, is to figure out if we can pull any of the old projects back in, and if not,
almost everything was replaceable that I lost on that, but there's some ideas on there. Like if I have an idea random, I just bloop. That's what's great about having the home studio.
Yes.
Bloop, record. That's not going nowhere. And I won't forget.
Yeah, the only downside of that is like, I mean, I guess like a phone, you could just as easily like break or lose or, you know, get that thing so you can't pull any of the data out of it too. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, I guess. But like some people just use their phone and they'll just set it down and play into it and be like, "There's the idea. It's there forever."
That works too.
But still, I mean, that's a tough one too, because having the home studio is fun. Like I have a home studio. I always just call it a studio. You know, it's like it's no different than anyone else's studio. It's just
mine's a living room.
Yeah, and mine's like the same thing. It's a basement room that I watch TV in. So it's like all the same thing. It's just the other day though, I like sat over by the computer and was just like, I'm gonna record something just because I think I can, you know. And
oh, yeah, you sent me a little something.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was just like hilarious. I was like, I wonder if it's possible to play "The Way It Is" by Bruce Hornsby on like an acoustic guitar. And I was
you did
like,
a fine job.
And it didn't sound horrible. Like that was the funniest thing. I was like, this actually kind of sounds good, and I kind of want to bust that song out sometime because it's pretty simple. But
right. Keep doing it too. Keep doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's like been my big kick lately is playing like 80s pop songs. Like, and I don't know why. Like it's like
they're awesome.
They are. Every single one of them are bangers. They are all bangers. So I should probably dive more into that. But
heck yes.
Oh man, it's got to be so heart wrenching to lose the data, you know. Like I said, we do have everything backed up, or you do, on you know, external places, but it's still like tough to sit down and like
getting it back.
Oh yeah, getting everything set back up the correct way and doing all that. And there are like different clouds you can store things on, but when you're storing like humongous chunks of data, like it's not really monetarily feasible to like store it all in a cloud.
No, and they charge you a lot of money, don't they?
Yeah, that's like the big kicker for me, where like I knew somebody that was paying, I can't remember, to me it was just like it might have been $1 zillion. It was like 50, 60, 70
it
bucks.
Like it goes up every month. The more stuff you save.
Yeah, like a month, that's how much they were paying. And it's just like, geez, that's crazy. Like, how could you pay that much to save that? It's like, oh, because you have 28,000 pictures and 4,000 videos in your storage.
I'm
it's
getting
like,
close to that. Started video on almost every show there for a while.
Yeah, and I mean, we have all of those saved. Those are all stored away on an external hard drive. So if we ever want to pull any of those back up, those are definitely there. But that was something else that was really fun, you know, going to shows and you'd be recording stuff and you'd record on different devices, whether or not it be a phone or a GoPro or different things. And then when you come back, it's like, well, what song sounds the best that I want to release? And it was always fun to see what you were going to end up releasing out of all those shows. Because, you know, I was at the shows playing on a lot of those. But even there were some times like when you and Owen played a show and I wasn't there.
Oh yeah,
I got to
sneakers one.
Yeah, I got to see a little bit of video of that, so it was kind of fun to see that too. You know,
good times.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's pretty much how I started doing the podcast. Was just recording different people's shows. When I'd go to them, it's just like, well, I'll set up a little phone on a tripod or something and record it. And if they like it, I'll put it online. And
nice.
If they don't, I'll just store it away forever.
I was going to ask you, have you ever had anybody play live on your podcast?
I haven't. I had toyed with the idea of doing like some sort of maybe either a live stream or some sort of a show. Like,
that'd be cool.
I kind of want to do it and put it on Patreon, like if I want to do it. But then that's also like putting your material behind a paywall that somebody has to pay me money for.
Yeah,
so it's it's a little weird,
it's
you know.
Your show.
Yeah, and I mean it would be my show, so I could do whatever I want with it, I guess. But it's still kind of like mean when it's like, well, thanks for coming over and recording this. 7 people have the ability to watch it because that's how many patrons I have, you know? So it's like...
It's growing, right?
Yeah, it is slowly, but that's the other thing is like a lot of these videos, like if anybody's watching the video, thank you.
What up,
but, you know, those are all behind the Patreon paywall too. So I thought about like slow rolling out some of the old ones. Like I've got some from over a year ago, so...
Putting them on like YouTube or something?
Yeah, just putting them back over to YouTube and letting people be able to watch them. It's like, hey, you want to watch
more cool stuff like this?
Yeah, me and Scott Kirkhart talking, you know, or something. 'Cause I think he was the first guy I sat down and did a video with.
Nice. Who was your first guest?
First guest ever?
Yeah.
Clint, the drummer for Three Finger Betty.
Nice. Which
is kind of cool, you know. And I do remember like a handful of the first people I interviewed and things like that. And yeah, like, excuse me. But like Ronley would be like another one. He was like, I don't know, maybe like the first 20 or 30 episodes. I haven't like talked to him since, you know.
How
but
long ago was that?
Like 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Like, you know,
lots of stuff has happened.
Maybe 3 years ago almost. It's been a while, so I need to like pull him back in here because, you know, he played on your last song, and that's been a fun one to be like. That was like one of the first songs I sat down and was like, I'm going to try and learn the riff to this because it actually, the way Ronley plays it in the song, it makes the song.
It does.
So like I have to emulate this in some fashion or another. And that was like it was like one of the first times I was like, I've got to do this one justice. So I tried my best to do my best Ron Lee impression, you know.
I remember when you did it the first time, I was like, holy cow, yes.
I learned how to do it at when we recorded the music video. Actually, I was just like, okay, I gotta figure out what notes to play here. So so it at least looks somewhat real.
That was fun.
Which was also hilarious. Oh yeah, me doing the Ron Lee King impression.
Nice.
At least playing the guitar wise, but
you killed it.
It was fun. It was fun being in a music video, wearing my Vinny and the Night Prowlers gear, which hey, I'm wearing the shirt right now, as a matter of fact. So this shirt seems to come out a lot on the podcast for some reason or another. I swear to God, I change my clothes. I swear I don't record like 9 episodes in a day. But yeah, I mean that was something cool. Like. That's another thing is like I've played a lot with Three Finger Betty. I've played a handful of different places. Like most places you can play in Des Moines. I played in a metal band for a while, so we played in different places, including like, you know, Chicago and things like that. So, and I've played in Minneapolis and Kansas City and Omaha. And I've done some fun stuff with those guys. But like going around getting to play with you, it's like I get to play places I would never ever get to play with Three Finger Betty just based on like
it's been a lot of fun, man.
The establishment, you know. So it's fun to be able to go and play it like. Oh, cool! We get to play at Timbuk Brew tonight, or whatever, you know.
Very cool.
You know, things like that. Like that was one of the first place I actually played just a duo show with you. So.
Pete puts on his cowboy boots when he comes and plays with me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yes, try my best. You know, but it's cool. Like you know, like you said earlier, going to Okoboji playing a show. It's like that's awesome. You know, going to Copperhead playing shows. You know, there's a lot of places out there I never would have even known they existed, or like wouldn't have had any sort of an attachment to them had I not. Actually played a show there, you know, because there's so many places before. Like you remember when you were first starting, everyone's like, "I'm playing at the 503," and it's like the 503.
Like, what's that? Where's that at?
Every place is like, this is brand new, you know, and stuff like that. And until you actually go there, you're like, oh, okay, this place is kind of cool, you know.
Exactly what you mean. Yeah.
You know, and there's a handful of places that I still kind of want to go to that people talk about, like Timbuk Brew in Iowa Falls.
Some wineries we haven't hit the winery circuit out.
Yep,
we'll probably get there.
Yeah, peel into that one a little bit, you know.
Get there.
Definitely, you know, and that's one of those things where, like, as many shows and as much work as you've done this year, like, it's still kind of fun to be like, there's still places I want to play. You know, there's still people I want to go see. Because different places have different clientele and different people see you, and it seems like I used to go back to watching your Facebook page grow after every show, where it's just like, well, we played a show and Jesse added 13 new likes.
That's
like
awesome. Yeah.
By the time the show was over, you know, and it's like that's actually really cool, you know.
Cool.
And then you don't see the likes that are growing in between when I'm checking on it. So it's one of those things where recently you passed 1,000 likes on Facebook.
Very cool.
Which is sweet, you know.
You helped me set up the page, so you might have been my first like. I remember you set up the page for me. You might have been the first like, and yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild though too, and it's kind of neat to see those grow like that, you know. And it's all you have to do is just post things on them every now and then, you know, and people just have to like your music, and then boom, it just grows itself. It seems like, which is, you know, well deserving, because it's kind of funny. I like to compare bands to my podcast, where it's like, oh, bands obviously get more exposure. People have more of a connection to music than they do to two people talking, which makes sense. Maybe. But also, like, this podcast is kind of like, I don't want to say a hidden gem, but kind of, you know, it's like
it's definitely a hidden gem. You can say that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't get to go to shows and perform live in front of people. I don't take up their Friday nights, you know, and things like that. But people know about it and they kind of want to hear about it. So
lots of people showed up at the jam on Tuesdays because of the podcast. That's so cool.
And that is also pretty mind blowing. That people like listen to the podcast and show up to the jam. I can't believe that.
And have a great time.
Yeah. Or like Jeff Fossbender like recognized me by my voice the first time he met me. He's just awesome. Like, he's like, I think we were over at maybe Shiny Top, and he's just like, I know that voice, and just turned around and introduced himself.
That's
like,
awesome.
Wasn't even looking at me.
That is amazing.
It's so funny, you know. So it is pretty wild. Like, do you ever feel any of that when you go places and play shows? Like, I do know, like, the last time we played a show at Dodger Tap, like, we were setting stuff up, and you had a handful of different people come up to you, and they were just like, oh my gosh, I know who you are. You play music and blah, blah. And it's like, it is kind of crazy to think of, like, people maybe haven't seen you but still know who you are.
That is cool, yeah. Absolutely. Like getting recognized or something like that, and or saying they like something they heard from you. Mm-hmm. It's the best. I mean, that's part of why I do it. I mean, yeah. awesome.
Or to have people call out songs of yours they want to hear.
Sing along to originals, and that's one of the cooler things too. Yeah,
dude. Yeah, like Stiff Drink is easily one of my favorites to play because there's so many people that sing along, and there's so many people like when we get done that you can tell like they heard this for the first time and they're loving it because they're just like, whoa, yeah, just like freaking out.
It's a good time song.
It is a good time song. It's a really fun one, and I don't know if you listened to the last podcast I did with Scott Kirkhart, but he's
I haven't listened.
He's starting a band.
I've heard a little bit about this,
and they're gonna do a cover of Stiff Drink.
Heck yeah!
There's gonna be 2 bands out there doing Stiff Drink.
That's amazing. I wish one of my other buddies' bands would cover Stiff Drink. You know what I mean?
That's super cool. It's gonna be so cool to hear somebody else's take on a song,
awesome.
And especially like somebody like Scott, who was the feature on it, who's now gonna
co-write. Yeah, we co-wrote it. Yeah,
he's gonna start taking the lead on it. So it's
very cool. And he's got some heavy hitters. I don't know all their name, but Owen's dad is playing bass. The drummer's phenomenal. Brady on keys.
Yep.
I mean, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, check out that past episode with Scott. And if you want to learn more about that stuff. But it's kind of crazy. Like you formed a band this year, kind of out of nowhere. It just kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would play shows with you. For a while I was playing bass with you, and then I started playing electric guitar.
Yep.
And then there was a couple shows I couldn't make it to with you, and you just like invited Owen with, because Owen plays bass, and it's like, well, Owen's good enough to play by ear where he can just kind of figure it out on the fly.
I love that about y'all.
Yeah.
Make it work.
So you bring Owen with, and it's crazy because it's just like, well, I think I've got a bassist now. All we need is a drummer, and then Cole Smothers.
Perfect fit.
Yeah, it's just like he was at jam night one night or something, I don't remember, and you were just like, hey, you're not super busy. Like, you don't play as many gigs as some drummers do. Do you want to pick up another set of gigs and start bringing him with to about a show a month or so, when you can book a full band. It's
guys make my job easy up there. Appreciate y'all.
Oh man, and that's
shout out the Rascals.
That's another fun thing though, is like, I don't know, we like call ourselves the Rascals, so we actually have like that as like the band's name.
Kicked it around long enough it finally stuck.
Yeah. And you started that though too, like it was a picture of us, you're just like, I'll be jamming with these Rascals something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, new band name Jesse
perfect.
Wilson and the Rascals. It's like Steve Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble.
Yeah.
We're Double Trouble. But
I like how it's not like when I first started playing like 2 years ago by myself. It was just not dreading playing 3 hours, but it was like intensive, and like the more shows you get under your belt, the more comfortable you get. You don't have to strain to play the song. You just play the song.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to think about where your hands are going, the words. So I've loved the growing that we've done over the last year. It's been amazing.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like the first time we had to play like a long show, I can't remember what it was, but like my arm hurt from holding it up there for like 4 hours straight. And I was just like, that's the weirdest thing ever to me. And then after a while, it's like, this isn't too hard to play like a 4-hour show anymore, especially if you have somebody else to bounce ideas off of, I couldn't imagine. The longest solo show I ever did was 3 hours, and I got, like a break in the middle. So it's not really that terribly long, but
it's a long show if you don't do them very often.
It's long because like you don't have anybody like, and now for the solo is nobody. All right,
now
like,
the second solo, no,
nobody.
The song's just short and over.
Yep, yeah. Every song has no solos.
Yep.
It's really tough to play like leads of melodies along to stuff.
Gotta have a lot of material.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to is. Now every song instead of 5 minutes is 3 minutes, and what are you going to do with it, And that's kind of the fun part about playing with other people, And sometimes when we're playing live, when we're all feeling it, like that's what happens to songs, though they go the other way. It's like this 5-minute song is now 8 minutes, Like, and I always make those jokes about like, can't you see? Like that's one where if you threw a solo in between every verse, it's just like, this song is long now. This song is really long.
They might have did that at jam night. I can't remember if it was Can't You See or something.
It's a crazy one, and that's that's another thing though too, is to sit and think about having those people around that like you just randomly met at a jam night. I saw recently somebody had posted about going to jam nights and having to use other people's gear and how weird it is. And yes, it is weird to use other people's gear, but it also kind of like you're out there playing other people's songs that you may not have heard a million times, and you're just kind of trying to figure out how you can fit in and what you can do to add to the song without making it weird, etc. So jam nights kind of like helped us all get used to other people, and that's one of the other cool things about you playing live is when I'm in, if I have a show booked with Three Finger Betty first, I can't make your show, and then you bring in Jordan Reuter.
Sure.
He did that at least once this year. You know, that's really cool to have that be a thing. And then on top of that, like, the other two people in the band, Owen and Cole, are flexible enough to go with it. You know, it's not like Jordan being different and playing different than me is going to ruin anything.
No.
Everybody's good. You know, they can all like flex themselves to what needs to happen.
Pretty much just need a key and just go nuts.
Yeah, here's what it is. Yeah, like, what key are you in? Okay, here we go.
I'm ready. Owen. That's all he would say after a while. He wouldn't even ask the key. Owen. I would be like, E minor.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Good time.
Yeah, I mean, like, my secret for that is like, has always been like, watch the first chord progression, and then you can kind of gather what key it's in.
Yeah.
And then you slowly fade in, like, you just fold in the intro riff somehow, like, nice and soft, and then you're like in the song. You know, and
You
then
make it work good.
I try so hard, you know, like, that's what's crazy is like, I got to go to jam nights and watch people like Ron Lee, and like some of the first jam nights I ever played at, like, Ron Lee was the other guitarist, and it's like, what? Like, I have to play with
Gotta
Ron
follow
Lee.
that.
Yeah, like, or it's like, we're gonna play Stranglehold. Ron Lee, you're taking all the solos. All right, thanks, bye. Like, like, you just let him do it or whatever, you know. Or like, played with Jeremy Ober a couple of the first jam nights I ever went to. It's like, this is nuts, you know. So I get to see how some of those people act and react to song changes and key changes. And
Oh yeah, I'm learning from the crowd as well. Like, not only learning like when I'm playing shows live, but like I'm in the crowd watching my friends. I'm definitely learning, man. We got some talented friends.
Yeah, that was like the other fun thing about having Ron Lee at a jam night recently is Ron Lee does play like a chicken picking kind of style that'll like not many people do, and he does it so
Slays.
Yeah, he does it so proficiently. It's like he can play that in any style he can play country chicken picking and bluegrass type stuff.
Sure.
He can play blues while he's chicken picking. He can just switch in and out any way he wants to. It's just really, really fun. And so like me and Eric, you know, young Eric, we're sitting there watching him just like, the hell is he even doing? Like, this is so wild. Like, his finger shapes don't even make sense half the time, but it sounds so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, it's fun to watch somebody walk up to somebody else's amp and turn the knobs and be like, oh, that's cool sounding, you know? And like, everyone's got their different tone. And that was something where like, Ron Lee played on a few different amps that night, so he ended up plugging mine in and setting up the tone. And I was like, you know, I was bookmarking my head where somebody else moves the knobs to.
Sure.
And then it's like, oh, he likes these amps with the knobs like this, you know, and I like them like that. And so I switch everything up and I start playing and it sounds, you know, good. It's like a tone I like. Everybody else seems to like it or whatever. And Owen's just like, that sounds awesome, but it's so weirdly different than Ron Lee's tone. And I'm like, you know, it is, you know, some of that comes from the amp and some of that comes from the way we're playing.
Sure.
And you were like talking about that earlier when you were playing electric guitar over here.
In the fingers, I think, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, it honestly is.
Yep.
I mean, there's the argument that like some of it is in the equipment, yes, but at the same time, some of it is also in the fingers. You know,
yes,
so.
I'm sure somebody can make that guitar scream different than I can.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually like saw Facebook groups are so funny for this to watch people argue about music. But somebody was like, tone is in the fingers, and some guy was like trying to argue with him. It's like
pickups.
Actually, the tone is in the pickups in the amp, and the speakers do make a difference too. And Dirk, and he was just like, and he made a lot of good points because, like, you know, if you put Ted Nugent on Eddie Van Halen's amp, it's going to sound like Ted Nugent just based on the fact that like the patterns and note structures will sound like Ted Nugent, but it sounds kind of like he's playing on Eddie Van Halen's amp, you know, so some of the tone is also in the equipment, you know.
No, I get that.
But, you know, that's a wild thing. We were talking about, speaking of tone, like you ended up picking up a new acoustic this year. Sounds great. But there was like a slight buzz on it, which was like the weirdest thing that, you know, we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. It was only like
irritating because I wanted to record.
Yeah, and it was only like certain frequencies and certain things would make it buzz. And it was like, that is the oddest thing ever. So
turns out it was a volume and tone knob on the inside.
Yeah. And I mean, like, and we knew
if I like that design.
Yeah, like we knew they exist and they're there, but we never thought to like touch them to like see if they would quit vibrating. So, but you did figure out a quick fix for it. So
it's a little piece of tape.
Yep. Just hold it there while you're doing your recording, which makes sense.
Yeah,
you know,
because it don't really come through the mains on live shows, but
no,
sensitive condenser mic's going to pick that up.
Yeah, a nice studio mic is definitely going to pick that up for sure. So, and that's, you know, that makes sense though too, because like live you're using the output on this thing, so it's not going to pick up the vibration of that like almost at all. So it is kind of weird like going out and playing live shows and figuring out like the differences between studio and live like the way you want your guitar to sound, or like things like that, or going out and troubleshooting live shows. Like we've played enough live shows where sometimes we'll go out there with, you know, a monitor and one speaker, and sometimes we'll go out there with the full setup, and
You usually dial it in pretty good, yeah.
yeah, and I feel like we're getting a lot better at it as the year goes on. And it's not like we were ever bad at it, but it feels like
Everything's getting tightened up. I really like how the sound's starting to come along.
Yeah, and I mean, some of that's learning curve on your part and my part, because
Yep.
you have to go out there and do so many solo shows. It's like you already know kind of what stuff sounds good like, and all I have to do is apply my knowledge.
That's helped me out on the solo shows, definitely.
Yeah.
Paying attention at the live shows.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense though too, because it's just like, well, one of the coolest things I remember you telling me recently was just like, I need more vocals, but don't just like blast the vocals at 10, you know?
Right.
Turn everything else down a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I think it was your lead, actually, guitar. Owen was saying how he couldn't hear it. Just crank it up. But we were so clean to the point where before you turned your guitar on, we're just like, yeah, we'll turn everything else down, right?
Yeah, just a little bit, you know, because then you're not blasting anyone else
Yep.
out of the water that's sitting in the front, etc.
I think that we got some compliments on our sound that night, too, actually.
Yeah, I
Very
mean,
cool.
it makes sense though too. I mean, we're starting to be cognizant of what sounds good, and I think everyone kind of agrees for the most part when we go out there and play, like where we're supposed to be sitting, etc. So like, it is kind of fun to go out there and play, and then like walk as far out into the crowd as you can with your guitar and stuff, and be like, yeah, it does sound pretty good out here, you know.
25-foot quarter-inch cables come in handy.
Yeah. I do have.
Or you can go sling a drink at the bar while you're playing your guitar.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is I do have a wireless unit. I just never use it.
That would be awesome if you went up to the bar during the show and just ordered a drink and just kept playing your solo.
It's a Pepsi. Yeah,
Yeah, Pepsi, yeah.
I need give me a milk, make it chocolate. That's,
2 fingers.
That's the Brad Hofing secret weapon, is chocolate milk.
Oh, boy.
He got me on a chocolate. He did get me on a chocolate milk kick, and I had to avoid it after a while. It was just I was drinking too much chocolate milk.
I don't even know how this started.
I don't know. It's going up to the bar, but it would be fun to have like a wireless unit, though. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I have one. I used to use it all the time. I should just bust it back out and use it, but
That'd be fun.
it would be pretty fun, you know. And you've been speaking of using different gear. You've been talking about maybe bringing the electric out to shows. You did that a few times this year, which was
Yeah.
which is
Maybe
pretty
we'll
fun.
rehearse a little bit, or we can just wing it, but definitely want to get a little electric ash, double electric. You playing lead, I'll play for like the original song, Break These Chains. It's a little heavier.
Yeah, I think that's one of the toughest things is we don't necessarily have a dedicated rehearsal spot unless we go to jam nights and
Right.
everyone's there. Then it's like, everyone get up here. We're playing a few songs.
Usually works out pretty good that way.
Yep. But it is also kind of tough when you want to just do weird stuff, like more intricate things.
Or
you
go
know.
over an intro 5 times or an outro or whatever.
Yeah, you can't really just go to a jam night and just be like, let's just do the intro 5 times in a
Yeah.
row. Like, everyone's going to be like, what are you doing? Like, no, they're
Working
just-
something out.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Kirkhart's got such a cool rehearsal spot. He let me come in there and see it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about rehearsal spots is like you go to almost any of them and you're like, this place is a dump, and then you like go inside and you're like, oh, this place is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's literally
What's
just,
on the inside of the count?
yeah, and that's like literally all it is though. It is what you make it.
Yeah.
Like this might just be a living room, but it's also got a laptop and an audio interface, which makes it a studio, and now it's nice.
Heck yeah.
Like it's really not really like anything super special, but it's still like
Shh,
this
don't
is
let my
cool.
secrets out.
All my secrets are out with all the videos of people watching me in my studio. It's like a dingy basement, and it's like I almost feel bad bringing people over to be on the podcast.
Looks good on the video.
It doesn't look too bad, but
Looks like a amp shop, guitar shop.
it's pretty funny. There's a few amps in there.
Yep.
I was telling you today, I just picked up another one, but I've got this disease where if I find like cheap
Aren't you
stuff,
getting a guitar tomorrow too?
yeah, I might go pick up a guitar tomorrow. But this one's gonna need a lot of work.
He needs
so-
help.
No,
kidding.
the guitar needs help. I don't need help.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I just enjoy playing different gear and tinkering with things. We were kind of talking about that a little earlier too, but I mean, you're no different though. I mean, you plug in for a while when you're playing live, you would do like a keyboard and everything on a loop station and a whole 9 yards, and that's not something for the weak of heart when
That's
you're going out
fun.
there playing live either, because like some people see that many cables and their heads just roll. They're just like, oh my gosh, I can't figure this out. It's too much
I
stuff.
miss the keyboard. Let us know in the comments you want the keyboards back in the live shows.
Call in if you guys. Oh man, yes. But the keyboards, I actually did play a few shows with you with the keyboards, and it was fun because there was a couple songs where you laid down drum beat and then a keyboard
over to keyboard
background before we started playing, and it's like, that's nuts. Like, I
need to start dinking with it some more. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't think there's any rules, especially playing live, and you've certainly figured that out with the variety of songs that you play.
Sure.
So, I mean, something for everybody at one of your shows. I was thinking, like, we played Tom Petty, and we played, John Cougar Mellencamp. Those are kind of in the same area, and it's like, now we're going to play some Blackstreet, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. And it's like, and here's a little, like, Afro Man folded in there. It's like, all right,
That's
it's
what
like,
we do.
and it's anything. It's like, there's some Toby Keith. All right, cool. Yep. All right.
Old country, new country, rock, little hip hop.
Yeah, and there's no rules. And I mean, like, it's funny because, like, one of my favorite songs is when we start doing Ice Ice Baby, and there's so many people that are just like eye roll and groan. They're like, oh, and then like halfway into the first verse, they're just like, girls wear hot, and it's like, oh my god, this is so funny to watch them. They know all the lyrics too.
Time.
They're getting into it, but
that is a fun song.
It's so much fun. Watching everybody yell Beachfront Avenue with me is like another good one, because I'm doing all the backup vocals, all the gang style vocals on that song, which is like tons of fun to do those. Those are like
it's a fun song, man.
And most of the other people, you can see them out there when they're connected with like the backup vocal guy. It's like, this is so cool. They're yelling all the yell words with me.
The more people that get involved in that song, the better live.
Yeah. And let's just tie that right back into like watching people sing along to Stiff Drink. It's like, this is freaking
so
cool to watch people like singing along to like a Jesse Wilson tune that like you did right, and it's like, this one was all him, and you and Scott, but it's still like one of those things where it's like, this is made by local people and everybody knows it, and how cool is that?
It's very cool. I love it,
especially to go to like a bar, and there's so many people there, like New Year's Eve, and it's like, we're New Year's Eve in Peyton, and it's like, people there, but you don't know everybody there, and there's people you don't know that are singing along to your songs.
Night before Thanksgiving, I think you're thinking.
Yeah,
that was a blast. That was a good time.
Yeah. And it's like, that's so cool that there's people that nobody here knows, and they're singing along to a song. So like, I don't know, it just makes me wonder, like, how did those people hear about your music? Like, have they been at other shows and we haven't seen them, or like,
who knows? I like it though.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's a little surreal though too, I would think. I haven't ever really written anything and putting it out there, because that's like maybe too nerve-wracking for me to like wear that much of my heart on my sleeve.
You're pretty much putting your soul out there for people to trounce on, or
yeah. I mean, but the other thing is, like, if you put out 10 songs, there's going to be a song in there for everybody too.
Sure. That goes back to the album. That's coming. We're going to do that.
Yes, there needs to be some sort of an album. And I mean, I feel like you could also just take all of your singles and just mush them into an album and be like,
sure.
For the first time ever, Jesse Wilson is available on physical media, blah, blah, this, that, and the other. You buy a CD or something.
CD? Y'all know what those are? CDs?
CDs. Yeah, I'll play a CD. Otherwise, vinyl. I mean, you could do vinyl.
Vinyl would be very cool and classic. Cassette tape, like... Just like Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction.
Dude, cassettes are coming back.
They are?
They are.
Really?
There's a lot of like, it's like big in like the heavy metal and punk scenes to bring cassettes back. I actually recall going to a Testament concert, and they were like, those big bands have like all sorts of crap in all sorts of different warehouses, or like buried in places. If you're like that big of a band,
old new stock stuff. Like,
yeah. So they had piles of cassettes that they had found in like a warehouse, and they were selling them at their merch table, and they were like $5 a pop for like a cassette. And this was like before cassettes were coming back, so nobody had cassette players. But I was driving a car that had a cassette player at the time.
Bonus,
because I'm old school. So I'm cruising around, and I'm like, I need cassettes. I have this huge cassette collection. I just bought a whole pile of Testament that was like brand new, still in the shrink wrap and everything.
That's kind of cool, actually.
From the band's merch table.
That's very cool.
So it is kind of neat to have cassettes around, I mean...
We'll definitely do some form of hard copy, CD, vinyl, something.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be something next year for you to like put in the back of your mind to think about while you're still... I mean, like you said, you got the studio back up, so you're going to be making... I'm assuming that's like the first thing on your mind now is like, well, let's start making music again here.
Yes, I literally have had the new computer for like 3 hours. It's on my mind.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, that's something that I was thinking about when I was like at my computer the other day, like, oh, gosh, it's going to be a sad day when this thing goes down. Because for a while, you're just like at the mercy of not having one,
Mm-hmm.
You can go a lot of your life without needing a computer, but when you want to use one, like nothing else will suffice,
I've been slacking on my YouTube channels because I don't have my computer, putting
Yep.
live videos up.
Mm-hmm.
We got some good stuff in the save, so we got to get her up there.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, like Nashville is probably like the coolest thing I think as far as like recently that you have going on. You do have the New Year's Eve show. You did have a music video come out for River Road recently. I think we might have plugged that a little on the podcast.
Yep. James Tyler was on that one featured.
Yep.
Brownlee King on lead.
Yep. And both of which have been on the podcast before. So the only one, I think Brad played some backup guitar and some bass on that,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, and he's an elusive creature that will probably.
That Brad is elusive.
It's going to be hard to track him down to get him on a podcast, but maybe I'll have him on here someday. But
Did the first ever Midwest Iowa CMO Writers Round, Brad Morgan put it on last Sunday?
yeah, I saw that was going to be a thing. Scott was talking
That
about
was a blast playing with them guys. Oh my gosh. Super talented people on stage. Honored to be there.
it. Yeah, Scott was talking about how to become a member of stuff and that on the last podcast. So I don't know if you are a member, but
I'm gonna be. Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna definitely be a member.
and honestly, it didn't seem like it was too expensive, So that was the other.
$50 or something.
Yeah, which is like okay, like
Yeah.
for guaranteed networking opportunity, sounds good.
Awesome.
It's just and like some of that is just what you make out of it. So, and you always seem to do your best when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Heck yeah, man.
So, and that's another thing, like going through all this year and all the shows we've played and all the different people that we've seen at shows and all the crazy things that have happened at shows and things like that. And it's like, I'm glad Jesse's the one with the microphone in front of him, like at the front of the stage.
We see a knife get pulled one night.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're at, but that's crazy.
It's a thing, And that's the other thing that's crazy is there's a lot of stuff that happens in the crowd. It's not like we're playing rowdy music. We're playing like country and stuff
Right.
for the most part. And
Good time music.
And people are just like,
We're having too much fun. I don't
too
know
much
my
fun.
hands.
Yeah. And that's just the bar scene. That happens at different bars and different
Yep.
places. And I mean, like we've had people come up and yell at us because we're not playing a song they want to hear, and it's like, we don't know that song. I'm sorry. And then it's like, don't yell at us for this,
Yeah.
And that's why one of the reasons I'm glad you're up there, because you're diplomatic. You're like a people person. You can sit and talk to people, and everybody feels
Try
like
to keep it calm.
yeah, everyone feels like a human at the end of the day, where I'm kind of one of those people that's just like, if someone's just like, hey, screw you, buddy, I'm like, no, screw you, buddy. Like I just turn around and like you're not solving anything by yelling back at them, and I'm not. So I usually, like when somebody comes up to the stage or like is yelling something or like a request, I'm just like, yeah, I'll let Jesse handle this. I'm just, it's not that I'm not a people person, but it is kind of fun to just, somebody's coming up and like, can you play this song? And I'm just like, I don't know, you'll have to ask him. Like, and it's just so, I'll just fend him over to you. And,
Right.
And you're the one that like, that's another thing. You listen to such a wide variety of music that you've actually like heard almost every song when somebody is just like, do you know this song?
Yeah, I have a unique upbringing too. My grandparents raised me. Up here, my grandparents are with us. Yeah, so I know like old golden oldies, for everything, 50s, 60s, 70s. I got a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you play a little bit of everything, and then it doesn't matter if somebody comes up and like, you know this song? And you're like, yep, I kind of know how it goes. And then it's like, let's pull up a cheat sheet of it and see if it shows. And you're like, I kind of know how this goes. And then
Sometimes we get through it. Sometimes it slays. Maybe it gets added to the set list. So sometimes it works out.
It is kind of fun, And then sometimes it's doesn't work out as well. Like,
and let's end this one early.
Yep. This one's going through one verse and one chorus, and we're ending it. Like what was one recently? Like "Carry On My Wayward Son." When somebody requested that, it was like, this seems like we could pull it off, And then like a verse and a chorus into it, it's like,
all right, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. But at the same time, like that comes back to if you had a dedicated space that we could all like come in, bring all our stuff, and not worry about bothering neighbors and things like that.
I think we could squeeze a drum set up here. What do you think?
I bet we could.
Yeah.
But it would be pretty baller to sit down and iron out a few of those, like I don't want to say more intricate songs, but those more intricate songs like that. It would be pretty sweet to just show up and be like, yeah, we're gonna play "Carry On My Wayward Son,"
And it's gonna slay.
Yep. But like I also think about like other weird songs where someone's just like "Home Sweet Home," like play that song, and it's like what? And then after a while you're like, oh,
that's kind of fun.
This song's kind of fun, Like and it worked out well. And when we don't bust it out often, but you did it the last show, and I was like, I remember how this song went.
I like when we will start that song and there'll be somebody clear across the room and they'll be like break their neck. like, what am I hearing right now? They love, they loved it.
Yep. And that's the other fun thing though, like, because if they're just hearing country Motley Crue, and they're like, sweet,
like
country
Motley Crue.
Or it's just like I said earlier, like John Cougar Mellencamp, and all of a sudden it's just like
Afro Man,
and all of a sudden Afro Man, they're like, what? Like, just, it's a completely different crowd that just like kind of flies in, and they're like, oh, this is awesome. The dance floor does a quick change out, a whole bunch of different people are up there. It's like, this is fun to watch.
Our ever evolving set list.
Yeah, and that's kudos to you, and like knowing that's what you want to bring to the table when you show up to a show, and you just want everyone to have a good time,
Yeah, man.
And I mean, that's what everyone wants to do, but
we're putting our stank on it, Maybe a cover is not exactly like the artist does it,
Yeah.
Our own deal on there.
Yeah, and some of that comes down to the fact, and I admitted it on a few podcasts, like I have some of these songs that we've played, I almost never have heard the original version. Like some of them, the first time we played them, like, I've never heard this song before, so I'm just going to play what I think fits, and it's going to work out, and that's how it's going to go, and then it comes back to like, oh, that's what this song sounds like. Like the Hurricane, the first time I heard that song was like after we'd played it 40 times, and I was like, oh, this song sounds way different than we've. Right. It's like way different.
I think Anthony Van has the version, and then we do our version of that one too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But ours is like a little bit more upbeat and rock and roll.
Yep.
Which
it works.
I like it.
It works.
And we've had other people come up to us at shows and say that too, where it's like, that was different than the original, but I actually really like it.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet to have people do that too.
Very cool.
So yeah, we got about an hour in here. We talked about all the goodies. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's classic. That's classic. I'm not even going to edit that out. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, so anything else you want to plug before we end this bad boy off?
I got a couple new songs I'm working on. One of them is called My Girl, My World, coming real soon. And I got one called Goodbye Song. Stay tuned.
Nice. So those, we're in the studio now, so he's going to set that baby up and probably start working on them this weekend,
Right.
So thanks, man, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All the best of luck to 2022, because 2021 seems like a big stepping stone for you, man.
2022 is going to be a good year, I think.
Yep. All right, man. Well, thank you very much. We'll check you later. Yep. Oh, baby, there's another one. Thanks again for waiting an extra day for this episode, everybody. Sorry it came out a day late. Check out me and Jesse. We're going to be playing New Year's Eve. No, wait, I said that wrong. We're going to be playing Christmas Eve at Bootleggers. So if you're listening to this, we'll be at Bootleggers tonight, I guess, as you're listening to this. Unless it came out and you're listening to it later, we'll be at Copperhead New Year's Eve. So check that out. We got a couple of holiday eve shows coming up, so yeah, it's gonna be a really good time sitting down with Jesse, playing shows, full band. We're gonna do some acoustic stuff. It just kind of depends on what show you come to, so check us out at both places if you want to check out the madness. It's gonna be tons of fun down on New Year's Eve at Copperhead. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. Help Jesse set up some of his stuff in his studio. Not that I'm the computer whiz for him, but I do a little bit of that kind of stuff in the background. But he's figuring out a lot of crazy stuff on there. He knows how to do so much stuff on using different softwares than I do. So I guess it takes all kinds of people. It takes a village. So hats off to him for getting that back up and running. I guarantee you 2022 he's going to be cranking out all sorts of music. We pulled a lot of partially done projects back into his catalog today. So it's going to be tons of fun to see what he ends up putting out and reutilizing, et cetera, et cetera. So hats off to him for putting in the work and doing all that stuff. So it's going to be really cool. Shout out to Jesse. And you guys want to check his stuff out, it's down below. There's links to all the social media, et cetera. So check that out. I'm at Jesse Wilson shows very frequently. He does solo shows. He plays with other people sometimes. He just kind of brings with whoever he's feeling for the night or whatever's going on, but I am the more frequent of the guitarists that play with him. So go check him out. I mean, I'm not even promoting myself. I say go check him out solo and go check him out with the full band, and then check him out duo, whether or not it's with me or Owen or whoever he's with. It's tons of fun to watch him play different shows with, depending on what he does. Sometimes he gets crazy and he'll throw a looper in there, and sometimes he'll bring a keyboard with him. I mean, he just kind of, there's nothing he's not willing to try, and that's one of the reasons I really like playing music with him. Is no song is really off limits, and no anything is really off limits to at least try, and that's what makes some of the fun of playing with him. Going to his shows and checking him out live is you kind of never really know what you're gonna get. I mean, he might pull some people in from the crowd and have them play a few songs. He's done that many times. So if you play music and you want to check out a Jesse Wilson show, go there and let somebody know that you play music, and maybe you can get up there and play some leads on a song or something. You never know. You absolutely never know what's going to happen at a Jesse Wilson music show. So check them out. All the links are down below. Thank you guys for listening this week. Thanks for listening every week. All the Audible Farm links are also down below. I hope you guys have a happy holiday season, and I will be back next week with another guest, hopefully not late. But this has been 2 weeks in a row. I've been late now, so I apologize, and thank you guys for listening. Peace.